Warriors fans, I'm Scott Warras. It is time to preview the women's soccer season because the school year is here. He is third-year head coach Matt Eisold. Hard to believe 3 years already. We'll get to that in a second. I like asking the coaches, how was your summer vacation? What was the highlight of your summer vacation?
Vacation? I don't know what a vacation is.
Tell everybody why.
I don't think I've had one. Soccer doesn't end, which is the easy answer. But we've been busy. There's been a lot going on. We perhaps had a little bit of rainfall a little bit ago, and we maybe had to do a little bit of cleanup in our basement, and still sorting through that a little bit. But we just got to keep on keeping on.
I thought you were going to say because now you're a dad twice over because
I guess
back in
that plays
May.
a role. Yeah, that does play a role too. Yes. So we had our second, a son, actually born on my birthday. So we now share a birthday.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow. That's going to be a battle for gifts for the rest of your lives.
I don't think my birthdays matter too much anymore. So.
Wow, a busy off season. When it comes to on the field, let me go back for just a second. I want you just for a second to reflect 3 years. Like we've been doing this now for 3 years. What have you learned about this job, about you as a coach in 3 years here at WLC now as you took the reins?
Yeah, patience for sure. I think that, whenever in anything, we have a new idea, when everything's bright and shiny and new, like we always have like these thoughts of how it's going to go, and it doesn't necessarily always go that way. God has plans for us, and it's not always sunshine, daisies, and rainbows and unicorns. So just understanding that, every step forward that you take is a big one, right? Even if it's a small one. And I think that we have taken some steps forward, which is a big deal. And, the plan is be grateful for every time you get to do that. Every time you get to take a step forward, it's important.
All right. What about your team? Again, kind of a big picture, 30,000-foot view type thing. When you assessed where you are from where you were, where did you want to get better collectively as a team?
Being healthy this year would be great, so I think that's a big
thing. But you can control maybe only to some degree.
Yeah, we were focused. I think there's some things you can do with like what our preseasons look like, how you want to build, keeping an eye on where players are at, and despite themselves as a former player, right? We always want and think that we can do everything and that we're Superman, but there's times you need an adult to say, hey, listen, it's okay to take a deep breath, and the end game is more important than like this precise moment. So, as far as the program goes, we've had 2, I would argue, pretty good years for program history comparatively, and for us that means that there's a standard set, and we want to keep again taking steps forward, and I think we feel ready to hopefully do that again this year. Yeah,
we should mention, just for frame of reference for folks maybe who don't know, last season was the highest winning percentage in a season since 2012. First time that the program qualified for the conference tournament, which I know was a goal of yours from your first day on the job. Have you addressed goals with this team? Still a very young team. Have you talked about that openly, or is everybody kind of the same mindset? We know where the goal is after what we did last year.
I think we have a lot of sophomores. We had a lot of freshmen last year, so they're a year older, but as you said, still young. I think they felt and we felt that despite making the tournament, that we even could have been better than we were last year. So I think again, minimum target they already knew now. Like that's the standard is we should make the conference tournament, but we want to move up. Like we don't want to be at the same place we were last year. We want to be higher up, and I think we know that that's achievable for us.
There's a lot of players that we can go through. We don't have time to go through everybody, as always. But I do want to get your thoughts on some personnel elements. You had a couple of players who received postseason honors in the NAC. That was the first time any Warriors had gotten it in about 4 years. Alina Zastro, Ava Zarling. Hey, how do you like the Killer Z's? Huh? Like that?
Okay.
All right, we're workshopping the idea. But Zarling and Zastro, together a real great combination. Where do you want them to take their game now in year 2?
Yeah, they don't play direct. Like we do play with 2 forwards, right? And so the partnership part is a little bit different because Elena plays in the middle and Ava plays up front. Again, I think they know now a little bit more about what the schedule looks like, what the demands on them are going to be physically, right, mentally, right, having to balance everything with school, right, soccer, right, social lives, all these other things. So I think for them knowing that and how to optimize, right, how they go about a season is kind of the next big thing for them. Ava, I know for sure has some big goals, and she's been important to us. So seeing her continue to progress has been great as well. And I think that she knows what she wants to get done this season, and it should help us again as a collective achieve the goals that we want to get to.
It's interesting. Do you think that freshman to sophomore year jump? Now I'm thinking about it. Is it as valuable, more valuable to get all that other stuff, the off the field stuff, in your mind organized, like you said, knowing all the college elements in place? You don't have to worry about that as maybe you did your freshman year. Is that as valuable as any on-field improvements, maybe, just to kind of clear the headspace?
I mean, obviously on-field improvement, you're always hoping, that happens for players. I think, when you look at that off-field stuff, think about, if you go higher levels, right, away games compared to not, right, how do I prepare? Like, what does the travel look like? All those other things. Like, now they know what it is. It's not a surprise. There's, like, no anxiety that comes with that, where there probably was their first year. And the other part is that they've actually gotten a break. Like, you get an actual break to come back and be like, no, I'm excited to come play soccer again. I'm ready. Where a lot of their youth careers, you don't really get a lot of breaks. It's club to high school, back to club, and it goes that way for years on end. So, I think the chance to be refreshed and excited to come play soccer again is a big deal. And then now knowing what it looks like, what the schedule looks like, what's going to be asked of me, right, how I can best optimize myself, right, is a big factor, and that leads into performing better.
We mentioned Elena and Ava. Other freshmen being asked to step now into the sophomore role. I think of Ginny Shade. I know Sam Schrader in goal, still dealing with a bit of an injury, working her way back. But give me some names that you're seeing and anticipating taking another jump.
I mean, the Ginny and Ava together, right, they scored a large amount of goals. I think it was like 20, something like that. I mean, she obviously also has some big goals, and she comes from a soccer background. She's a coach's kid. Her dad coaches club soccer out in Colorado. So, she is primed and is excited to hopefully take that next step too. Sam, when she comes back from injury, we'll see where she's at. But
are you happy with her progress right now? You have to tell us how close she is, but just you happy with the track she's on?
Yeah, she's, according to the doctors, ahead of schedule, which is good. I mean, that's always what you want. Right. I've told her a couple times, though, it's okay to take a deep breath and make sure that you're ready to go. We don't want to rush you back and put you in a situation that's not going to be productive for you. Like Aubrey Cook, Ava Colliard, players that last year had some health issues. Right now are healthy, and we're looking forward to them being on the field and being able to contribute.
There was a time not too long ago when Brooke Bloom was everything for this program, and she carried this program in a lot of ways, and now there's reinforcements around her. Of course, she's battled a couple of knees herself. It's been a real strenuous journey for her. What can you tell us about Brooke? I mean, how have you and her maybe worked in getting through a second knee injury, and where is she with reinforcements a lot stronger around her than when we last saw her?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a hard adjustment for players, right? When you come from a place where, and even on the opposite, right, where maybe I don't have responsibility and now I have responsibility, or now I can share responsibility. We talked a lot after, unfortunately she ended up hurt as well after last season, of like, if you had to pick, right, I'm able to contribute and help to the team, right? Maybe not necessarily in the full capacity that I was before this, right, compared to where you're at now, where you obviously are on the sidelines and not able to contribute at all. Right? I know that is not necessarily what you'd want, but if you had to pick, what would you go with? And the answer was, well, I'd like to be able to contribute and help the team. And it's nice, in all honesty, and again, parts where the program hasn't been in the past, to have people that can come play, right, and have depth where, you have competition for places, you have players that can contribute. A healthy program has that, and I think that talking to her this preseason, that she has a much like zoomed out view of it, where it's like, okay, no, I want to get through this year, I want to be healthy, and I want to contribute, right? And how is it that I can best help, right, the team and the program do that?
I mean, I imagine watching last year unfold and watching this youth movement and the talent coming into the program, she's going to be chomping at the bit to get back out there and compete with what she's been seeing from the sidelines right now.
Yeah, I think that we get old, we learn lessons. Not that she's old yet, but having gone through it now 2 years in a row, I think that she has a little bit better perspective on it. Of like, right, I want to be playing in the last game of the season, right? So the first game of the season, right? I don't need to rush, and I don't need to put myself in a position where I might not be able to play in that last game. So, hopes, fingers crossed, right? That she'll make it through the season.
Warriors women's soccer deserves a little lady luck in terms of the overall injury bug that has bitten the program the last couple of years. So hopefully the worm turns in that respect. And that's so cyclical too. So odds are, I think, in your favor. All right, Matt Eisold, before we let you go, in the time-honored tradition of these conversations, of these interviews, we play 5 questions. First answer that comes to mind. Number 1, 10 inches of snow or 10 below?
See, I like snow.
Okay.
I'm going to go with snow. I like snow.
Number 2, what's your favorite movie genre? Type of movie.
Genre, that's a tough one. My favorite movie is Forrest Gump, so I don't know what genre that falls into, but I'll go with that.
Like drama, comedy, dramedy. Okay. Number 3, what is the breakfast cereal you could eat every morning for a week or more if forced to do so?
So this is tough. So my mom, for those who don't know, is a dietitian. So we did not have a lot of cereal present in our house.
There's healthy cereals, though.
But turns out they're not very fun to eat. That's the truth.
True. Doesn't taste that good, maybe.
Probably, I guess, I probably frosted shredded wheat. That was like a treat, and so I probably could eat that.
That's good. That's good. Number 4, what is your favorite quote? You have a phrase, a saying, a quote that maybe that you use or you heard and.
Favorite quote. See, the problem is I have a lot of movie quotes. I like movie quotes. The girls would know probably much better. Something that I say all the time. Off the top of my head, I don't think I have one. I really don't.
Based on your answer to number 2, have you ever been like, ladies, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
No, I have not used that one. I feel like that one's overplayed a little bit.
Probably.
From Forrest Gump. I taught her how to dangle. That one was really good. When he's hanging from the tree, I really like that one. Or I was running, just the running part. So.
Number 5, what is your least favorite character trait in others? Your least favorite character trait in others?
That's tough.
What's a turn off when it comes to traits in others?
I mean, like referees, not using logic. I mean, I ask a lot of questions to referees. I don't yell at referees. I ask a lot of questions when things don't make logical sense, whether that's physics or actual logic, and they usually kind of just stare at me funny. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Do you make sense, right? And then they always got to kind of look at you and think, and then usually they just turn away because they probably know they're not right.
Illogical referees.
Yeah. Don't send that to Simos.
No. Bonus question. As soccer coach, who is the one soccer player, past or present, dead or alive, that you wish you could have a conversation with? And what is the first question you would love to ask that person?
Well, my favorite player, non-goalkeeper, got a caveat, non-goalkeeper as a former goalkeeper, is David Beckham. I've always been a huge fan of David Beckham. And I think he's underrated. I think people have looked at his public persona, Posh Spice and all that kind of stuff, and that overshadowed eventually what his playing career and what his ability level was.
So what do you ask him? What's the first thing you ask him? As you're sitting here, pretend I'm David Beckham and ask me a question. No, but if he was, what would you ask him?
How you balanced everything,
yeah.
Right? Because he did, and that was a big thing for him. Is that when he came to playing, he seemed to be able to just refocus on playing every time. Whatever else he had going on, which he had a lot. Obviously again, being as famous as he was during the time period, I know players now maybe don't rate him or think about him as much as he maybe deserves, but. No, how did you balance? How did you, right? You have a family, and you had all the other things that come with having both of you be really famous, and how would you figure out how to refocus when it came time to play? And now obviously as an owner of a pro sports franchise and doing all that kind of stuff, I'm sure he's still got to kind of sort it out. So just what that pathway looked like and how you managed to do it.
Yeah. It's interesting what you say about maybe people not recognizing just what a good soccer player is because of all the other stuff, the celebrity element that he is. All right, Warrior Women's Soccer. Friday night, the 29th, it's here, Ripon. And it's a home opener as well. And Matt Eisold begins year number 3. He's a Hall of Famer, class of 2023. And he was hoping I wouldn't bring that up because he hates when I do. But he's a Hall of Famer. Thanks for watching, everybody.